there's crooks in your castle, then there's nights full of battles. Some fight with the barrel, that's eagles versus vultures and olives versus arrows. Carhartt apparel, harrowed by the pharaohs who travel through the night.
That's a long
Ladies
song,
and
bro.
gentlemen, what's really good? I love that song. Ladies and gentlemen, what's really good? It's the OG Boricua Dandada, a.k.a. Chef, Mr. Muffins Martinez, Continental Delight. None of us matter because we are Cameron, pound for pound, Prouty in the building. What's really good, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
I'm all right. So I want to start it off because I recently was talking with Snowbeck, and I was telling him I don't think that a lot of fans realize how important this event really is and how it's going to catapult Ice Wars back into the position before COVID where it was going. Like, they've never had this kind of buzz, especially with Battle for the Border and everything. So I think my first question is, what's the feeling like representing Team USA?
I mean, it's an unbelievable, feeling and honor to be able to represent your country. I'm super excited about it. I know all the guys are super stoked about it. And what better with, the previous Canada USA Worlds game that went on. And, so I think with and all the political stuff going on with Trump in Canada,
Yep.
I think it just made sense. You know what I mean? And I think the fans really want to see it. And I know every fighter is super pumped, on both sides. But Canada's stacked, man. They are stacked. They got a lot of big name guys, guys that have already been in it. And a lot of guys on, US are up and comers or looking to make a name for themselves, like myself.
Yeah, and I think that's where, give me 1 second, brother. My bad. Give me 1 second. I think that's where a lot of people, including myself, I'm out there. I've said this before. When you look at the Canadian guys, they most of them have experience in Ice Wars already, right? Like they have that niche where they understand the synthetic ice. They know how it is, and they know the lay of the land. They understand it. So they are coming in with I think an advantage, but at the same time, there's a will that I don't think that these brothers understand that come from this country. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
There's a lot that comes behind that, and you guys are embracing all of that. And I love the fact, they want to be the good guys. Be the good guys. Everybody loves the villains. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's like Canada's got a couple of really, in my opinion, and when you say the synthetic, you know what I mean? It's so hard. You have to literally basically buy it yourself. Around where I am, there's one rink, and I've got on it a few times. But it's like you got to book it and everything ahead of time. It's like a little mini section where you just stick handle with the net and everything. But one fighter, and I know he doesn't like me too much, is Travis Check. But if you watch him and how he fights and uses his edges and how he looks at going into the fight, he moves a lot. He's very wiry. I've studied him a lot, just because he's not a big guy, but he, from what I've heard, throws, a hard punch. And, I love his style. His style is kind of the style that I fight like. So we're very similar. I'd love to fight him in the future. You know what I mean? That would be awesome. But Justice, and he's a solid dude. Obviously, you know that.
yeah.
He helped me get, involved with Charlie and, AJ and all that. He was a big help to me. And he was also a big inspiration, you know what I mean? I recently, back in October 2022, I got sober. I was forced. I kept, relapsing on the drinking and violating probation. And eventually the judge gave me enough rope to hang myself with and threw me in jail. And best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest. That could have happened at that situation. It was like a hard reset. And I haven't had a sip or even a thought of it since the day I went in. But I went in and it took a little time. I started going to church. I'm not a religious person at all, really, but more spiritual. I started going in just to kind of occupy time. That helped. And through that process, when I got out, I started reaching out to Justice. And he was just such a good dude in the sense of offering me, numbers, assistance, who to call, how to go about it. he's literally the blueprint, in my opinion, you know, for an Ice Wars player, how to, you know, promote themselves as far as that end. So I also studied him, and I've also studied a lot of his fights, and I'm excited to fight him because he's throws a lot of lefts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has a deadly left. If he hits you with it, it's not going to feel good. So, you know, I have my tactic of how I'm going to fight him. I don't want to get into it, but
Nope, no sir. We're
No.
definitely not going to talk about how you're going to adjust to that.
but I'm super excited. It's like an honor to fight him in general. You know what I mean? The quickest knockout in Ice Wars history.
Yep.
His name alone is badass, dude. You know, Justice Smoke. That name alone is such a cool name. And my grandfather grew up like loving and relating to the Indians and the reservations, and always trying to take me to like little reservations and going little things like that when I was younger. And so just the fact to even get in the ring with it, you know, anybody that's on a reservation, man, they're some of the toughest people that I know, you know, seriously. So there's no looking at Justice like he's an easy win. You know what I mean?
So wait, you're matched up with Justice?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Allegedly, we'll say allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
In the next week, things should be starting to come out, but everybody basically knows who they're fighting right now.
Okay.
We were told that a long time ago, a few months ago. But me and Justice, we've been putting in the work behind the scenes, kind of building it. You know, I got on the Fourth Line Voice podcast, shout out Darren, and and he let me come on, and that was awesome and cool, and that was kind of my first experience being on a podcast. I lost my I played in a men's league 5 years ago, dude. I paid $20, and I had like a 50-something-year-old guy high stick me, and I lost 5.5 teeth. So it's been like, you know, dealing with that and sobriety and trying to like, I've dealt with a lot of insecurities, you know what I mean, that I never dealt with prior. But I mean, as a hockey fighter, a lot of people are missing teeth. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, so to be honest, dude, I like wasn't even scared of the fight at all in this aspect. I was more scared to do like podcasts and, you know, the press run and all that. It's just completely new to me. You know, I recently, you know, my wife, we have a 9-month-old son, and she fell into some pretty hard times with postpartum, and they put her on medications, and things just started going all wacky and crazy. And so she had to go away for a little bit until things can get settled. So I'm right now in full dad mom mode, you know, getting everybody to school, doing everything, you know. I live with my parents right now. We have our own place out in the property of my parents, but so I get help and stuff, you know what I mean? But it's still, you know, it's hard not having, you know, she's like my best friend, obviously, you know, other than my kids. And
see, that's the hard thing. Like, I've been with my wife 26 years. I'm 45.
Oh wow.
And 26 years in June. But like, she went through something last year, health wise, that scared the shit out of us. And I remember sitting in the hospital like, I can't function without her, right? Like, and I always told her, I got to go first, right? And I'm not trying to make this a downer podcast or nothing. But
no, absolutely, I get it.
I think that people don't understand when you got somebody who's literally your rider, how easy life can be, even through the hard times, because you know that they're right there. You know what I'm saying? And behind any successful man is a strong woman. I'll always say that. Muffins, what you got? What question you got? Because you're just sitting there shaking your head, bro.
I'm about to got the tissues in there, man. It was like, oh shit.
Emotional stuff going on.
Yeah, I was like, it was Ice War thing, not a Maury show episode. Jeez.
Hey, listen, when shit is real, baby.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I was getting into that is because everybody saw Justice's post recently, talking some shit. And I love it. You know what I mean? He's such a good dude that he doesn't mean no harm by it. But I lost in like 4 days of that going on with my wife, like rightfully so. I just wasn't eating properly on time. My gym routine, everything just completely changed for like 4 or 5 days. and I dropped like 6 pounds. You know what I mean? But I have that weird body weight where I really should be a middleweight, but I gained like 10 pounds. I can gain 10 pounds like within a day or two. So like last night I was 177 pounds, and then I woke up this morning, I was 169 pounds, and then I woke up this morning at 177. And so I'm like, I just between water, retention and learning, it's just all new to me, man. Like I'm not a martial arts fighter, and I played hockey. I knew the basics of staying hydrated, staying in shape, but that's a whole different animal when you go into fight camp. It's like weight cutting, and with not having proper information and everything and being guided. I didn't have an agent at the time, when I signed a contract and all that. Now I do.
I want to ask, since I know you skate, so that means you've been playing hockey since you were a little kid.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was like 2 years old.
So through this whole time playing, and getting into that, have you gotten into some type of fights before like this, or it's just been everything on hockey fights? When you
are you asking like have it been fights in the street or MMA or anything like
you
that?
fight in the streets, real life stuff, or is always
too many?
Okay.
Too many in the street, but the
street what you're getting yourself into in the ice.
Yeah, the street stuff, I don't even really like to do that. I love having a contract and going in a sanctioned event. To me, that's like, street fighting happens, but it's like childish. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. It happens, but I'm past it. I played in juniors, but around here, it's all college hockey in Massachusetts. There's the EJ, it used to be the EJ when I was the Eastern Junior Hockey League. And then it went, I played on the Empire Junior Hockey League for the South Shore Kings and for the Mass Maple Leafs prior to the Kings, but you can't really fight. If you do, you get suspended. So there's been clips of me. Unfortunately, it was in 2012. I'm 33, so I stopped at 19 and then right at juniors, and I went to the Cape Cod Bluefins were a new FHL team in the Federal Hockey League in 2012. And I was 19. I was all gung-ho, fresh out of juniors, and I was like, I'm going to fight anybody and everybody, as a small guy. And I went out there. I went into the locker room in the combine, and I was literally calling everybody out, from like 6'6" to whatever. It was like, and they were laughing at me, man, we're not going to break our hand on your face and get hurt for the season, all this. And then I went out there, and I just started laying the hits. That's really my thing. I was always a big hitter. So I just started laying the body, and then that just started ruffling some feathers, and I ended up fighting 2 times, and like in a row, basically, because they weren't doing any penalties. It was just a scrimmage, and then we just got off and then came back on. And I fought a 26-year-old and then a 30-year-old, and I feel like I dominated both of them. They both came up to me and were like, "Whoa, man, you're only 19." And they instantly offered me a contract, the team. I made it as a walk-on. And unfortunately, in 2012, my cousin, Stephen Perez, he just came back from Afghanistan, and he was in the 10th Mountain Division, sniper, and he became a Revere police officer out of Boston, a cop, a town local to Boston, and he was out celebrating. I was supposed to go out with him, but I was 19, and I didn't drink at all at the time, so I wasn't looking to go to clubs or do any of that. He went out to a club in Boston. It's all on video. You can watch the whole thing. It was on America's Most Wanted. He got shot in the back, got into a fight, like 5-on-1, beat the living shit out of him. Military style, knees, elbows. And then littlest one, go figure, like 5'3", 120 pounds. No one was looking. My cousin wasn't facing him. He wasn't even attacking him. And he pulled the gun out, shot my cousin in the back. Yeah. And then he fled to the Dominican. So at that point, I was like, I can't leave my family, man. Like I was still young enough to where I was like, dude, like, and mentally, I was just, it wasn't the right time for me. So I ended up playing like a couple months into the season and then stopped, due to just mental health reasons and family reasons. But they had Billy Tibbetts on that team, he's a retired NHL guy. I don't know if you know the name, but he's on the Rangers. Penguins. So I trained with him when I was like 14, 15, and we used to shadow box on the ice. I used to, he was a big mentor to me. Also loony and out there a little bit. Love you, Billy.
Yeah.
But
now, another question before you go. So you know who you're fighting. Is there a specific weight that you guys both got to be on?
So when I originally signed up for Ice Wars, like there was obviously no weight class previously. So when I got into it, I was like everybody, you're fighting anyone. But me and Justice, I really called him out after talking to him with his approval and being like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's recently is really the past couple months when BKFC got involved is when, past 6 months or so, they started setting weight classes.
Okay,
so,
yeah, because I was going to ask you, I was like, I see under the name, it says like flyweight or it says a weight class.
Yeah, me and Justice are in the cruiserweight, as well as Snowbeck. And I loved watching him on the podcast. I was watching it yesterday.
Yeah,
anybody that's in the military, man, I love it. And he's wild. So just the fact that I'm going to be on the same card as him, you know what I mean? And other people too, just awesome. But the weight class thing it is what it is, man. I'm willing to fight anybody, but there is levels to this. I wasn't out here calling out Amesbury and, I called out Schmidt. I don't know him personally, but he knows people. Brady Leibold, who's one of my sponsors, but he started Buck Support, which is like to end the stigma of mental health and addiction. And I know Justin Smith was on that podcast, so I called him out, but I haven't really had big communication. And I ended up calling out Travis Check as well as Justice. I think that's why Check doesn't like me too much, but. I think maybe we'll get together in person and maybe we can rekindle the relationship, the friendship.
So yeah. I gotta ask because like I played football and basketball growing up. I played at a pretty high level. My number is so special to me. I got it tattooed on my body. When I talked to Justice Smoke, Justin Schmidt, everyone I talked to literally from Ice Wars that had played hockey is like, no, we don't give a shit about the number. A number's a number. Now, do you have a number? No? I don't know if
I don't have my number, but to be completely honest, I thought about doing that a while ago. Like, I was honestly even going to go get like an Ice Wars or BKFC tattoo, like with maybe the pound for pound on it, something like that. But then I'm like,
yeah.
It's like getting your name tattooed on the back of you, you know what I mean? Or your name on your jersey. Like, the only one that matters is the crest, man. When I'm playing for a team, that's the only thing. When I'm fighting for BKFC, that's the only thing that and Team USA, man, are the only things that matter to me,
And it's true because, like, when I was younger, my coach, God bless the dead, he always told me, because I was a young kid, like, I was a big Sean Kemp fan, like, I loved, NBA guys. That's what I liked. Yeah. And he specifically, when I came on that team, I was 14 playing in a 21 and over, so I had to sign a waiver and shit. But he was like, all right, we're not having names on the back of the jerseys. And I'm like, why? I want to go to school with my jersey. And he was like, because of you. And I'm like, but coach, like, my name, my number. He said, your number ain't shit. You ain't earned it. And your name ain't shit. The only thing that matters is what's on the front. And I was like, what? Like, as a kid, it's messing with your ego, I'm like, no way. But the more I was around older guys, I started to understand the family. Like, when you're young and you play with kids your age, it's like everybody's just gung-ho thinking they're the man. When you play with adults and they're like schooling you and dropping that knowledge, that price information, you become like a brotherhood. And that family vibe, the name on the back never matters. So when I started coaching, I never put the name on the back. Kids didn't like it neither, but I love my number. And for some reason, everyone I talk to is like, I don't know what's up with you and your number. I'm like, I don't know. I'm ready to cover it up at this point.
Hey, maybe you just love the number. That's all right. I got my son's number tattooed with some hockey sticks. Number 7. It's hard to. I have to have it redone. Go over it again, but I got his number 17 from his first season. Just because he was like begging me to do it, and I'm like, all right, whatever, And it's it's a cool number.
17.
Number 17
What's
is
the 17.
There's no meaning to it. He just literally got the number 17, and I was a big Milan Lucic fan, and growing up in the Bruins and everything, and he knows that. So I think he just saw the 17 on his jersey, related it to Lucic, and was then like, awesome, So he loves the number, and now he rides with it and everything he does. So
now you were raised in Boston, right, or Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, yeah.
So Boston players is the reason you became a hockey player?
I'm named after Cam Neely, former Bruin.
I knew it. I knew Cam, when he's a hockey player and his name, I was going to ask him that. You stole my question because I was Cam Neely's one of the nicest dudes ever that played that game. I'm telling you. Him, Ray Borg, a lot of those guys special.
And I played my game. Obviously I wasn't as big as him, not as big a guy as he was, but I played my game just like he did. Like, I loved him growing up. I wore number 8, every time I could possibly. And just the fact that he could hit, fight and score, it was like, I could always score and stuff, you know what I mean? But that wasn't the game that I liked to play. Like, when I was younger, once I hit 7 years old and I could play full contact, I stepped on to my first AAA team. My coach was Chuck Coyle, who's Charlie Coyle, who's just on the Bruins now on the Avalanche. He was like my first coach, and Charlie was on the team. And to watch someone like that at 7 years old compared to like what I knew, okay, I'm good enough and, whatever. Like, he would score like 300 goals a season. Unreal. And I would just sit in the locker room and be like, how do you do it? And then I started realizing, once I started hitting, I'm like, I love this. Like, this is what I want to do. I don't even care about scoring. Like, I just want to hit. And then once I got older, the fighting and everything, obviously it's, it used to be a bigger part of the game. And it's unfortunate the NHL is what it is now.
They sped it up. They got rid of trap hockey, and, they're trying to get the violence out of it. But it's still the toughest sport left.
In my opinion, yeah.
Like, football's soft. Basketball is, I don't even know what. Like, I can't even watch that shit. It's terrible. Baseball is baseball, and then you got hockey. Hockey, you still got guys going, 1,000 miles an hour just flying into each other. It's incredible. Go ahead, ask him something, brother.
Well, no, just jump in what you guys said. Sports has changed gradually and is more geared for TV now. We want to bring fans in, so we have to clean stuff up. So less fighting in hockey, more scoring in basketball, less physical in football.
Yeah.
Because you want the offense to fly. So when you're signing $1 billion contracts for 8-10 years to show your score on, things are going to change. And a lot of people like us who are old school are not going to like that. But the younger generation likes that because they want to go faster.
That's because they don't know any better.
Exactly.
Because they don't understand a lot. Okay, when we were younger, whenever I got into anything, I did my research, I did my homework, right? Like, when I first started playing roller hockey, Jaromir Jagr, he was like the guy for me, right? Like, I've never seen, obviously, he played with Lemieux, and, Lemieux is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, with him and Gretzky. I ain't seen no Bobby Hull and none of those guys. But Jagr was so flashy, so fast, so big that I was like, this guy is the truth. So you want to emulate that. But back in the days, it was like chess, right? Like, if you're playing chess, you got to know every move before you make it. That's how hockey was. And that trap style hockey shit, if you couldn't break it, you're not winning, right? Like, you can get a win here and there. But the minds of these coaches and the players were on a different level. Yes, you sped it up, and now you're seeing the 6'3", 7'4s, but it's taking away from what we fell in love with the game, and that's the strategy part of it.
Yeah.
But Cameron even mentioned earlier, he went from growing up from wanting to score to something else.
Well, that's because he felt he understood his passion.
Exactly.
He played somebody. And he was like,
I want to play defense. If I'm playing basketball or football, I want to play defense more than score. Now it's opposite. Now everybody wants to be fancy and want to score because they want to get 20 goals a game or 50 points per game in basketball and stuff like that. The defense part no longer exists anymore. Everything is just fast, outpace everybody, score, and we'll stop them on the back end. and we got to keep scoring.
Yeah.
Everything's about offense. Nobody wants to see that defense from back in our days.
They do.
That's the
just don't
boring
know it.
game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They do. They just don't know it.
Exactly.
You know?
But that's the boring game. We want to see Cameron go up there and knock somebody out in 3 seconds, and I'm happy. I don't want to see him score. I want to see him knock somebody out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly. But that was then. Now it's different. Now you want to see everybody just flying, get a nice hit, don't kill anybody, but just get a nice block, get somebody flying against the glass and score.
So, all right. So I'm gonna direct this to you. I know you're not the biggest hockey guy because you grew up on Puerto Rico. You played baseball at a high level, so baseball is your thing. But
Yes.
if I tell you the name O. Samuelson, do you know that name? No, right?
No.
Okay. He was a defensive guy who played with Yager and Lemieux, and he would tell them, never pick your hands up because we need you to score. I could leave the ice for 5 minutes. Give me a number, and I'm going to whoop that ass. They would point the guy out, and he would do what he does. And this is the kind of – we're talking to a guy just like that where go get him. Okay, it's like a pit bull. Get him. I'm getting him. Like – you need those dogs, and you can't take that part away from the game.
When you got professional, were you doing that? Like you told somebody
he was fucking people up on all levels.
I'm going to go and take care. Dude, I'm asking you the question.
I went out. Yeah, the answer, I went out. I leveled people, and I would be told either by the coach, you know what I mean, run out, go out, that guy, whatever. I always knew. You didn't even have to tell me. I was going after anybody who had the puck in my mind. But as I got older, I learned to stay in position more. I did a lot of, running around. And then when I went to the South Shore Kings, my coach, John Gurkis, one of the greatest coaches I've ever had. And he really taught the positional game and kind of like how Sean Thornton played, in the NHL. He hit, he fought, but he didn't run around trying to be this overly aggressive guy. And that was kind of my problem with the bipolar and the things that I have, mentally. I just saw red and I just wanted to go around and hit. And then I was hoping people dropped the gloves. And then by the time I went pro, it was like, it was only for that short time. But I mean, I was fighting anyone and everyone that I possibly could.
Do you understand what he's saying by what he's saying? It's like staying in a lane so he doesn't break open a lane.
Yes.
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking.
Oh, okay. No, I understand some stuff.
Yeah, no, I know you do. I'm just saying it's making sure your defensive strategy isn't opening up a lane or a gap where someone's shooting by.
Yes.
No, my bad. I don't know.
No.
You never want to end up in a position where you're minus, or you're a liability, you know what I mean, for the team. And that was learned by me very quickly, at a young age. Like, if I'm going to be doing what I'm doing, I also have to have some sort of accountability for the team, not for myself, but for the team.
You know what I did so I could learn more hockey? I sat down and went on Paramount Plus and watched the show Shoresy every season. So I learned more stuff, and I actually like Shoresy now, the show. Like, because I think that shit is funny as hell.
So some of the guys that are going to be on this card, like Nick Gorgeous Laporte. He's on that show. I think it's season 3 and 5. So some of the guys that are on Ice Wars is on that show. It's a big show in Canada.
Yeah. So now I wanted to know from Cameron, who actually plays hockey, is that real? Like that real league down there? Is that a real league?
And in Canada, I'm not obviously from Canada, but I know there's a lot of like senior leagues.
Yes.
In
but
Canada,
like that show Shoresy. Is there a league like that for real?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in my opinion, the Federal Hockey League, at least 10 years ago, used to be very similar to like a Shoresy league. It was just goon hockey. When I went out,
like 4 teams or whatever, only 14.
It was like I think it was like 6 or whatever when I was there, and
Fridays or Saturdays. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
that's the crazy shit. Well, I mean, like now, you getting yourself. I know. You said you have a little issues, home-wise with the weight. Your wife is not there right now. Where are you mentally preparing for this fight?
I mean, mentally, I put, it's hard. You don't want to say I'm putting everything else that family wise going to the side, but it's like, this is new to me, but you have to mentally like kind of put it to the side, I guess. You have to, separate, so when I'm training, I'm fully training. When I'm in my dad mode, I'm in my dad mode. When I'm, going to work, I'm going to work. Other than that, it's, trying to maintain all of them at the same time. But my wife will be back. Times are tough now. Tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Yep.
See, and I think what he's got really good in his corner is he's got his, his parents with him, which it takes a community to raise a kid. Yo, Alex, get the door. It takes a community to raise a kid, so he does have the advantage of having them close by to say, hey, go do what you got to do. We'll take care of the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's how I see it. If I'm right or wrong,
No, that's absolutely right.
I just want to
now, what are you doing over there? You look.
I'm trying
did
to
you write
this.
questions down?
No.
Huh?
Of course. Of course. Come on, now you think I'm unprofessional? I gotta
never write no questions down. I just
man,
go
I gotta keep talking because you know me. I started.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm taking.
Look at your question, yo, Cameron. So this is my man. This is my brother, right? And all it takes, we could be talking about two squirrels in a backyard, right? And out of nowhere, if he turns his head and looks that way, all of a sudden it's Ric Flair in '86 doing I don't know what. And I'm like, yo, where did that come from? And then he just goes on with the Four Horsemen, this over here with the Tennessee Titans. And I'm like, bro, what? Go ahead, ask your question because you got something on that.
That's what happens when you get 52 years old and your mind is everywhere, bro. But so the guy that you already know is 100% concrete.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ask too many questions because I know you can't give a lot of answers. But you already have a strategy going against him.
Can't talk strategy.
I know what I'm saying, but you already are mentally prepared to like. I can see this happening. Like you like already seeing him fighting in your mind.
I fought injustice in my mind for the past 3 years, every single day.
Okay,
wow.
This is the first time you guys are fighting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And basically, I mean, every day it's just like I pictured different scenarios, how it can go. Anything can happen in any fight.
Yes.
Anybody can get hit and tagged. That can happen. You can break something in your face. You can break. Anything can happen. But I see. I don't want to give away too much, but Justice has got. His arsenal isn't too much, other than his power, his size, and that mean left that he can throw. Not to say that he can't throw rights. I'm just saying he preferably throws lefts. Is what he does, but. There's a lot of different tactics when it comes into it. With the 90 second rounds, it adds like that extra. A minute hockey fight is super long. So to have a minute and a half, 3 to 5 rounds, essentially is kind of unreal in hockey, so they want to see people coming right to the, middle of the ice and banging, throwing down. And in my opinion, to make the 90 seconds, so, it really depends. You're going to go out there and do that. You're going to exert yourself real quick.
Yep.
I don't care what shape people are in. Your cardio is going to be, really, really hurting you after about the 30-second mark, until you can get maybe some breaths in or whatever. So I like the Travis Check method. If you watch a lot of him, he's got you'll understand the strategy that I'm kind of trying to go with.
Now, I know you're younger than us. Have you ever watched the movie Rocky or Rocky 2, Rocky 3?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of course.
Hold up. Are you practicing in the ring chasing chickens?
Yep.
Just for the cardio. Just running around.
I'm a kid, so I'm running around constantly anyway. But I cycle for an hour in the morning. I cycle for an hour at night. I go to the gym for 2 hours. I got like I said, a weird body shape to where like I don't like get super thick and heavy like looking, kind of like, I don't know if you know the fighter Rick Rippin, rest in peace, but like his body type, you know, and how he fights, and very similar. So, you know, there's a lot that's coming into this, you know, that's also, like I said, you know, I'm not used to having to, you know, maintain a certain weight, you know, so it's hard with my weight to where I can, like I said, be 168 and then the next day wake up and I'm 170 something and like, what the heck, you know, that makes it harder for someone. So basically my goal is to just maintain the weight that I'm at. And when it comes into the way, I'm just going to pound my proteins and eat my food. And then, you know, I'll make weight.
It's just like boxing, like they'll weigh you the day before. And if you don't, you have to cut that weight by then. That's the same way or no?
So I honestly am not too sure. That's a great question. It's a really great question. But I really think that, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little off topic here. I'm sorry. Re-ask that question again. My son's walking.
Because I know in boxing, you have to weigh yourself the day before so you can.
Yeah.
But what happens if you're under or above? I mean, is that the same way for this? Like they're going to weigh you?
So we're scheduled to be there the day before the fight by a certain time, and that's when we have to weigh in. I haven't been told anything after that, so I guess I'll find out if that's the case. But my goal at that point right there is to weigh in, make weight right there, and it's all done.
All right, cool.
I already got my physical and everything, and blood work, everything you need to do, you know, to be able to fight. You know, I got everything done, so I'm ready to rock.
Sweet.
And he's got one of the toughest fights on the card. Like, you know, Smoke is that guy. Like he's like Ice Wars, like royalty kind of shit.
Yeah, and that was my goal, you know what I mean? Like I didn't do calling out people that I called out of disrespect. And I hope that even Travis Check, you know, understand that. Like I called out people that I totally felt, you know, Amesbury's Amesbury. He had a career still going, just like Schmidt. They still got their thing. I don't know what Travis Check or Justice or, you know, these people, if they pop in and do stuff. I know Catlin, you know, Big Snake, dude's an animal. I know he, you know, pops in or something in the Fed here and there. But yeah, Justice is, dude, I'm well aware of who I'm fighting and who's going to be across the ring. And, you know, but I look forward to it. I love a challenge. And the reason why I called those people out were because that also gave me a name a little bit by Justice also putting my name out, you know, and instead of treating me like, you know how many people are calling me out, kind of the same method, you know what I mean? And it's new to me. So like when you get messages from people and they're like, oh, you pussy, you know, this and that. And I'm like, what?
Like,
you know,
like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, you don't even know me. And then I answer them. And then like after about a week or so, you know, we end up having now a few of them, you know, or, you know, communicate, we're friendly, you know, and that's kind of how Justice handled it with me. It's like, we're ready to battle. But then at the end of the day, at the end of the fight, like we're cool. Like I'll shake your hand and, you know, I don't drink, so we ain't going to go have a beer after, but respectfully, I'll go sit with you and I'll have a soda if that's what you want to do, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited because, like I said, I don't think people understand the importance of this show. Like, this is such a monumental event, and you're on it, which is so dope because when you sit back, you go, shit, at the end of this, there's no loser, right? Like I keep trying to tell people, there's no loser to this. Is there a bragging right? Absolutely. You know, Team USA wants to have the rights, you know, Team Canada. But an event like this, the real winners are the fans. It's me, right? Like, because I'm watching all you brothers go out there at the highest level, banging out, doing what you love doing, and ultimately I win. Like, you guys win and everything else, but like we're watching greatness. And a lot of people, like, and when me and Muffins, we talk, because we talk wrestling also, when we started it, we wanted to give people a platform on like an independent level where if you didn't see them here, right? And we're coming ground level with Ice Wars, and it's like we get to see this story unfold. So chapter 1 happened June 14th. There's no before it, right? Like we're not even, that doesn't even matter. It's what happens now.
Exactly. And then BKFC, sorry, having, teaming up with Ice Wars was huge. And to be able to represent fighting for them, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation. Ice Wars International, BKFC teaming up. I mean, it's an honor. And then to add Team USA and Team Canada, my two favorite countries. And, if I was not to live in the US, I'd be going right to Canada. I don't know all the politics down there, but,
you don't care. You just want to go play hockey.
I just want to go play hockey. Exactly.
just show me the rink. I'll be there.
Exactly.
And that's the thing where we're sitting back and we're like, everyone obviously understands the Trump-Trudeau thing and the tariffs. And I hate when politics plays a part in anything, right? Because you're taking away from the players that on such a high level. When Team USA went to Canada and won, it was the biggest story ever. They came back and beat us when it mattered most. And I've talked to a few of the USA guys, and I've told them, look, they might have beat us when it mattered most in the NHL, right? But for people like me, Ice Wars is what matters, right? I'm 45. I'm not a tough guy. That old me, that don't exist no more. I'm a dad and I'm old. So, but that dog thing always stays there. So you love the fight aspect. And this is what, to me, hockey is. And I'm literally sitting back going, well, this is for me, right? Like this means more to me if Team USA wins and flies that flag. I'm going to talk mad crazy. I'm not even lying. And there's a few Canadian guys that I talk to, and I'm going to let them know, like, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to look like one of those wild dudes. I'm going to come on here with America t-shirt, just ramble and talk crazy.
Yeah, I mean, got to represent your country and probably, if you win, I mean, you rightfully earned it. But like I said, I mean, like you said, I mean, there's no win or lose really, obviously, other than bragging rights. I mean, to be able for any one of us to represent our country, represent BKFC, come out and fight, represent our own names, which doesn't matter, but to our own family and, you know what I mean, things like that around locally where all the guys are. I mean, and we're watching it go from the ground up. I mean, to be able to be on this card, like you said, it's an honor. It's like, it's badass.
Yeah, and I was hoping, and I don't know if they're going to do it. And, I know, like I said, Mr. Nama paid attention. I know he sees my stuff. I was hoping that, like, this is done yearly, right? Like, and it doesn't always have to be America, Canada. It could be whoever they put versus whoever. But if they made, like, you know how you win the Stanley Cup and the team gets its name etched on it? Yeah. I was like, yo, how cool would it be if they win this event and it's annually, and then that team gets their name etched on it, and then going forward, I don't want to see no more crowns. I'm all about belts. That's just me. And
that's sick. That's actually a good idea.
You see, I do. I told you I'd come up with some good ideas.
No, that's a really good idea. It's something different too. Like there's gonna be like in any UFC, BKFC, PFL, whatever. There's obviously belts. So, I mean, it only seems right to make sure there's a belt. And how cool would that be? You know what I mean? To have names etched out. Either way, like just to be involved in that card and. Soaring Eagle Casino. I've never been there, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. Yep. So I'm super pumped. I didn't have a proper, corner guy because this is all new to me. So once I learned we had to have a corner guy, I got a hold of Jose Prieto. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Jose, but he's a jiu-jitsu instructor and he fights MMA and he's about, I think it's Alda or Alma, right outside of Mount Pleasant, a little small town.
Oh, wow.
So he's going to be my corner guy. He's got a super, bunch of knowledge, and he's giving me a lot of information on how to, handle who I fight. We'll just say, any cruiserweight that's on the card.
Nice.
They're all going to be a problem that I'm going to have to deal with regardless. And at some point,
at future points, yes.
If I'm fighting,
you're a problem for them too. You're a problem for them too. So I know we could do the humble thing, but it's two soldiers going into battle. You know what I mean? Listen, like I said, I like Smoke. He's awesome guy. He's real fun, mad knowledge. But I mean, we all Team USA, so it's no disrespect to the homie, but we Team Prouty on this one. Like. Muffins, you got anything else you want to ask him, or can we let this brother go?
No, he has to go because he gotta go feed the baby, man.
Yeah, yeah. And then I got a game tonight, men's league game.
All right, look at that.
9:40 tonight.
So,
Hey.
So,
So, all right,
Yeah.
listen. What do you want to plug before we get out of here so we can plug it and we can let you go, brother?
any final words to your opponent too?
And my final words of justice would be ready. I'm ready to die in there, and I hope you are too.
Oh,
There you go. So can he plug? Because I like the shirt. I like the idea of plugging the shirt
Yes.
again. So can he plug his stuff so he can get up out of here?
This shirt, you mean?
Yeah, I dig that. That shit is fire.
Yep, I got a couple of them. It's Brady Leovold. He started Puck Support. You can go look up online. A bunch of different options, hats, shirts. He's got a really cool one that I like that says Puck Addiction instead of fuck addiction.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So there's a bunch of different play on words. Big plug out. Plug to him. He's the man. And another family. Just want to give a shout out that it's always been there for me. It's the Comesso family. Drew Comesso is actually playing for the Blackhawks AHL team, and I played with the older cousin Nick and his younger brother Joey, and they're just an awesome family, and they own Northeast Lions baseball and around locally here, so they're a big name around here in hockey and baseball. So just want to shout out them.
That's what's up. Listen, y'all know what it is, man. I'm gonna have his social medias, so it'll be in the description section. I always mess that up because I always say the thing down here. Like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. For myself, Mr. Cameron Prouty, my brother Muffins Martinez, out of here. Deuces.